music for Egypt. Nile FM.
Right here on Egypt's number one for hit music, Nile FM, is Zeinab here with you, and it's all about those good vibes only. Now, the time has finally come for one of my favorite things that I've been looking forward to since last week. Okay, my guest today comes from a very artistic household, being the daughter of a talk show host and scriptwriter and TV host, and who happens to have a sister that is an actress herself. Her first appearance on screen was in a TV series that her father actually wrote a while back ago, and she was 5 years old. I am super impressed. That's a very young age. Since then, she's appeared in several movies and TV series. She has earned a reputation as a versatile actress capable of portraying all types of different kind of roles. May's influence has extended beyond her acting career. Yes, I am talking about May El Ghety. Yes, she's also a patron of environmental causes. She's with me in the Nile FM studio today, and we are going to be talking about her career journey and what we have to look forward to in her future projects. May.
Hi, Zeinab.
I found you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I've been really super excited that you're coming in today, and I'm loving the fact that we are wearing pretty much the same colors in our outfit. So, May, do you want to tell me
about?
How do you feel coming on today? I want to know when you know, our people kind of contacted. Were you looking forward to this as much as I was?
Yes, 100%. Oh my God. I listen to Nile FM all the time.
You do?
I do.
Well, that makes me feel so good. Makes me feel so good. All right, I've got so many questions, but the first thing that I want to be asking you is to what extent, because, you know, I'm fully aware your father is, you know, a very talented man, and your mother the same, your sister. It's a very kind of, I love it when people come from an artistic background where it's like the whole household gets, you know, the certain kind of way of thinking and direction in life and things like that. To what extent growing up in that kind of artistic home impact your outlook on your own career?
It has influenced me greatly, of course, because I think a part of it is, you know, is just growing around people that have such great passion for art and for filmmaking and storytelling, and it has been it became a huge part of my personality, where everything around me has just transformed into, you know, a work of art. Like, how would this be portrayed in a film or through a story? And it just kind of dominated my thinking, you know, my whole life, and it made me realize how much this is such an important thing for people to be able to watch themselves and you know, relate to stories that they see, and this is what made me want to do this. So of course it made one of the biggest impacts in my life.
Did it ever feel like it kind of added that certain amount of pressure because you've already got, you know, two successful parents in the household, and it kind of, you want to excel as well? Did you feel that kind of pressure to it, or did it not really affect you in that way?
No, of course I felt that, because, you know, when you're a child, you're not really sure what's going on, what's happening. I don't feel like my career actually started until I was 12. Mm-hmm. So everything before that, I did, you know, these programs on the national television, you know, for children and stuff like that. And I've had very small parts in some projects.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And, you know, obviously, you as a child, you just think, oh, this is fun, and you're not really sure what's going on. And I think I really realized this is what I want to do when I was 12 and I got cast in a musical in the National Theatre. And I realized, this is what I want to do. So, I mean, the pressure was that I kind of had to learn a little bit late that this takes away from a part that, from your childhood. Yeah. So a lot of things became work too soon for me. I'm very grateful for it, and I appreciate my journey. But I think if I had, you know, realized...
There's a price that was paid, basically, right? It's one of those.
So I think that was the main pressure. It wasn't that, you know, you have to excel, you have to succeed. Actually, there wasn't any of that at all. It was, you know, very supportive, and, you know, we want you to do something that you enjoy. The pressure just came that I had to, give up a lot of aspects from my childhood willingly to...
to get to where you wanted to get.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We're going to delve into that a little bit further, but first we're going to head back to some music. I told you earlier that I switch up the music on Wednesdays, so this one is one of my favorites. I hope you like it. Lamar and Dance With You.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
Faith Evans and Carl Thomas with Can't Believe right here on Egypt's number one for hit music, Nile FM. It's Zeinab here with you, and it's all about those good vibes only. Not alone in the Nile FM studio. Actress May El Ghety is right here in front of me, and we're having a nice little chat about her journey and her career that I always enjoy. There's something really cool when you get to kind of sit down and talk to someone about their journey. I think sometimes when you're sitting down and having a conversation with someone that is an actor, actress, singer, whatever, it can be so easy to talk about just what it is they're doing at the moment and stuff like that. And I think it's really important to kind of like really understand how that person got to where they're at and, you know, the obstacles and everything that they had to deal with, because I think it could look really nice and glittery from the outside and no one actually gets to understand the work that's put in to get there. And that's why I want to ask you now, a little earlier on, you were talking about the fact that, you know, going into the field at such a young age, it just meant there was a lot of things that you kind of had to sacrifice in your childhood, right? And you started off really young. I mean, we're talking about, you know, initially your first appearance being at the age of 5 and everything. And I know you said 12, but even that is really young. How did it impact your childhood? What were the things that you had to sacrifice?
I feel like I think the biggest impact it had was, you know, when you're around a lot of adults, but children learn with, you know, social cues, and we're, you know, at an age where everyone around you is just a model, so you're just absorbing everything as a child. And I feel like it made me mature too fast, and I got accustomed to dealing with a lot of adults around me. So then when I went ahead and went to school, it just felt very difficult to relate to people around me. I felt like some of the things I would, you know, say or do or talk, the way I behave would just seem unusual or strange. And I think that kind of just, you know, I grew up into that, just waiting for to feel like I can relate to others and for others to relate to me. And I feel
it made it difficult to communicate, basically, with kids your own age.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I think that was the biggest impact that it had.
Were you bullied? Like, I know I ask that because I had the same thing growing up, you know, like when you're a little bit different and when you're used to being around adults for a certain amount of time, when you're at school and you don't know how to deal, kids can be mean. You know, and I think that definitely they regret it when they're adults and they think back. But during that time, they could be really, really mean. How did you handle that?
To be fair, like I think I don't know why I still remember, but I do.
You always remember.
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now. I remember a very long time ago something that was said to me by a bully. I will never forget it. So many other things I'll forget, not that.
I was bullied a few times. Thankfully it wasn't like a constant thing, but one of the schools I was in, I had a couple of bullies in there. It wasn't severe. I know other kids have it worse, but the funny thing, it was relating to, you know, one of the roles that I did as a child, and I had, you know, people make fun of my appearance. And you know, that it just felt very unfair because I was like, I was a child. Why are you making fun of how I looked? And in my head, I thought it would seem cool to the other kids that I got to be in this film with this, you know, really huge star, and you know, everyone loves him and loved him at the time. And it felt like, why are you making fun of how I look? And I think that kind of just stayed with me. So I tried. I think this is one of the reasons that even now as an adult, and I'm thankful that at this point I just tried very hard to not care too much for how I look. Of course, you know, sometimes differ from other times, but you know, I didn't want to put emphasis that this is how, you know, a girl should look, or this is how you should look, and you shouldn't look neat all the time. So even I try on my social media to post as much as possible things like, of course I'm gonna have things where, you know, I look all, you know,
dolled up and we all do. Guilty.
But you know, I try as much as possible to put things, you know, I don't have makeup on, I look, you know, in a natural setting. I don't want people to be, you know, it's okay for us to grow up, you know, when you're children, you don't look your best, and that's okay. And I think this is what just stayed with me So I guess
Throughout.
in a way it was a eventually positive experience.
Well, you know what? You came out on top in the end. Do you know what I mean? I always think at the end result, but these things hurt, especially when you think back on them, they still have that little bit of a thing to them. Now, a lot of child actors, especially like when, what we're all like, we're constantly like checking out the gossip, what's going on in Hollywood, la 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 la. When that happens, you often read about all these child actors that had difficulty transitioning from being a child actor into being an adult actor. And I want to know, how was that for you? How did you kind of navigate through that? Did you have any difficulty transitioning from one to the other? Because I think when you're doing that transition, it's very difficult for even the people that you work with to be able to understand that you're not that child anymore, you're this, and what roles could be available to you as a woman now as opposed to being a little girl. So how was that transition for you? Did you face any obstacles? Tell me all about that.
I think I was lucky because all the things I've done as a child, they weren't incredibly popular.
Okay.
And it didn't make me a child star, basically. Okay. So I was a child actor, and I've done several projects as a child. But I feel because people didn't necessarily know my name as this child. There
wasn't so much expectation.
Exactly. And I feel like I was just kind of lucky when opportunity presented itself as I grew older, that certain roles were available for me as a teenager. So when I did El Kosserot, for instance, I was a teenager at the time, and they wanted someone in that age group. And so on. As I grew older, it was a matter of opportunity.
It's good timing. It's like opportunity and being ready. Because the thing is, they always say, an opportunity could come your way, but if you're not ready for it, it's gonna pass you by.
Of course.
All right, so we're gonna head to some more music. I've got Duffy coming on next. All right, it's called "Rain on Your Parade." Have you heard this one before?
No.
You're gonna love it.
Okay.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
In sync, it's going to be me right here on Egypt's number one for hit music, Nile FM. It's Zeinab here with you, and it's all about those good vibes only. Not alone in the Nile FM studios. I've still got the amazing actress May El Ghety, and I am taking advantage of this as much as I possibly can, because I've decided, as long as I've got you here, I'm going to ask you as many questions as I could possibly fit in for this show. All right, so May, we've covered the fact that being a child actress and moving on from that, I also know that you're very good with the books. Okay. I mean, I was just telling you, I am one of those people, like, when I finished my degree, that was it for me. I was like, I'm done, and I just about made it. You, however, I hear that you are doing a master's degree, or have done a master's degree. Where are we at? Where are we at with this? Are we in it? Or we just finished it?
Of course I finished it.
Tell me all about that.
Well, I studied psychology for my undergrad, and I just had a passion for psychology ever since I was younger, and I thought like it had so much to do with acting as well.
I was going to say, do you kind of feel like it helped with that?
Yeah, of course it did.
Yeah.
I feel like it's another way of trying to understand how to portray people better and portray their emotions better, and it helps you understand, the character that you're reading that's just on paper, and kind of make it into blood and flesh. And a part of it is also I wanted to help people as much as I can, and of course, as much as art is an incredible way to do so, I just wanted to feel that I can do it on a one-to-one scale. So I went ahead and I got my master's in the UK.
That's impressive. I'm just super impressed. I really am. I'm just in awe.
Thank you.
Now, you've got, like, for someone so young, and I kind of feel like you've achieved quite a lot. You've got a good body of work. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you were Fatma in Grand Hotel, La Tutfi Shams. You were in that as well. Maryam in Zodiac. We had you as Radwa in Kull Usbu'a Yom Goma. Warad in Sultanat Al-Mu'izz. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I get really impressed with myself when I'm not sure about how I say something and I get it right. And that's just TV. And then, and that's just a few of the things that you've done on TV. And then there's the movies as well. You've got High School Girls, the movie, and that was a nationwide sensation when it came to the box office. And, the list goes on. It's endless. You got Ritza and Amar 14. I like the name of that. I like the name of that, which, that was another success in the box office as well. Now, one of the most recent things you've done is also a TV series that you participated in called Ouled Abid, where you took on the role of Hiba. Can you tell me about how that role came about and what the experience was like shooting this particular series?
So it's actually it's quite interesting because when I first got the call that they'd be interested for me to play the part, I literally just got to the UK.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm still starting my program, and now they want me back to shoot. And I made like this decision that it's not like I'm gonna take a year off of acting. I thought that would be acceptable, but
apparently it wasn't.
Yeah. So I still got this opportunity, and I've been wanting to do something that, we have different kinds of shows, and I wanted to do something that, people in Egypt would just, it's a family show. It's a huge family, and I feel like that resonates with a lot of families in Egypt. So I wanted to do that kind of thing. So I flew back and I shot it, and it was interesting.
How long did it take to shoot? Like how many weeks? Was it weeks? Yeah, I'm guessing
months. A few months. Yeah, it wasn't a hard shoot. No, honestly, it wasn't a hard shoot. And working with Akram Farid, who's the director, is lovely. And there was a lovely cast, and NBC are a great production studio. And it was interesting because this had I'm pretty sure there's nothing to spoil at this point, but it's a very complicated character because she goes from being this nice girl, that she's super kind and sweet, and then kind of transitions into kind of a villain. So it was an interesting challenge.
Was it? It was. I looked from the look on your face. I want to ask a question, but I kind of feel like it's not worth asking the question because it's all right there on your face. The way that you smiled. Do you enjoy playing a villain? I think every actor seems to really enjoy playing villains for some reason. I think that they're more fun.
They are. I feel like it's an excuse for us to do the things that we wouldn't usually do.
That you wish you could.
You wish you could. If only I can talk badly to this person and make them feel bad. But yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. But also what I enjoy. So, whoops, I just hit the mic.
It's all right. I do it all the time. The time. I once dropped it in the midst of conversation. Go on.
What I liked about it is that it just gives you so many reasons why someone could turn into this kind of person, and I like that. I like we all have justifications to why we sometimes act differently than who we usually are.
Well, being a psychology major, of course you'd get it. Just putting it out there. It may not be easy for everyone, but for you, just a little bit easier there. All right, I'm going to ask you some more things. In fact, I am going to be very, very curious about another project called Mama. But before we get to that, I've got more music. Because you know what I'm like. I really enjoy the music. We're going to turn it up. We're going to bop along for a little bit, and then we're going to be we're going to be back with some more things that we need to be talking about. Wow, Zeinab, wow.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
Mario, here I go again, right here on Egypt's number one for hit music, Nile FM. May El Ghety still in the Nile FM studio with me, and I couldn't be more excited. How you doing over there? You enjoying the music?
I'm good. I'm totally vibing. I'm having good vibes.
I'm glad. That's my aim, especially if a guest shows up on a Wednesday. I know they're going to vibe to the music because I go back in time a little bit. Now, talking about vibing, I want to know how you vibed with this particular project that we're going to talk about next. And the reason it kind of caught my attention, it's a short movie, it's what, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
It's a 20-minute movie. And you know what? I've always kind of felt very uneasy about short movies. I'm going to be very honest because I kind of feel like they're a gamble. They're either going to be like this amazing thing that you did and it's going to be picked up and it's going to get its awards and it's just you're going to be like that actor that's out of the box. You know what I mean? Or it's just going to be that one project that you hope no one catches onto or sees and stuff like that. Now, how did you know that this was a project that you wanted to be involved with? How did did you have an inkling that it was going to have the kind of mark that it made?
So I tend to have this intuition.
Okay.
It's not perfect all the time. I have some regrets, but at the time we're kind of coming out of COVID. Well, actually, no, we were getting into COVID.
Getting into COVID.
It was still happening.
Yeah.
And I watched a couple of Neji Ismail stuff, and Kausar Yunus was on the project, and she's a lovely person, and she's a producer, she's a director, and I felt like, okay, and the story, because I've read the final version that everyone saw, is not the first draft. It was kind of like a different point of view in telling the story, and it was, first off, it was based off a true story, and that's something that gets my attention.
What was the story about? Can you tell us?
It's a bit morbid. I don't think I should. We're trying to maintain good vibes here.
Right,
it's a dark film. It's a black and white dark film.
All we need to know for now. All we need to know.
But it was about in short, a young woman who was trying to protect her brother by keeping a very scary secret in their house.
Okay.
And I'm a horror film buff. First of all, I love horrors. I enjoy them. And I was like, this is horror-ish. Yeah, I like this.
I'm feeling this. I'm vibing with this kind of scary movie thing.
And I just felt, these are lovely filmmakers. I'm excited about the story. It's going to be in black and white. And, I just felt, I feel like this should be a go.
Okay. Well, you went on from that there into another movie that I kind of feel like that was another award-winning one. It was selected in the Red Sea Film Festival, International Film Festival, and I kind of feel like it's the topic of this particular movie is very important because it talks about struggles and social pressures and people being different, and specifically women, and the kind of pressure that women kind of have to live with in society. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I know you play Esma in this movie. It's just so that you know, because I did not say the name of the movie. Let me put it out there. I realize that now. Kamla is the movie. It stars Inji Muqaddam and yourself. So do you want to tell us all about that?
Yeah. So I got excited about the film because it was about FGM. And it's one of those topics that we tend to see, are kind of appear as a sideline in a story or a film, and nothing has, been a film or a story has been told that is directly revolves around that. And actually, the screenwriter was inspired by a story that actually happened as well for a girl. Yeah. That was kind of being forced into a marriage, and the whole story had a very sad ending, and that's what inspired the whole film. And it's about a friendship that grows between a psychiatrist who's Inji and a patient who's Esme, who's a sex worker. And it just kind of highlights all the difficulties, the tragic effects that happen due to FGM. Yeah. And it was, a very heartfelt story, and there was a lot of...
It sounds like a very powerful one. How... You know what? I've got another question when it comes to that particular movie. But we're going to head back to the music. We're going to head back to the music because we're running out of time of this first hour. But I have more questions on this. All right. Janet Jackson is up next with Doesn't Really Matter.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
Beyonce and Jay-Z, Deja Vu. I could see you vibing along to that one. You were bopping along in the corner over there. In the Nile FM studio with me, May El Ghety, and we are talking about her journey with her acting career, and we were talking about Esme in Kamla, yes, the movie, and we're talking about the fact that you kind of brushed on the fact that because it's a heavy subject that's in this film. It's a lot of stigmas involved in it and everything like that, and I want to know how much of a toll did that role have on you psychologically, Miss Psychology major?
It was difficult, of course. You tend to... So it's... Okay, so there are two factors here. One is that as an actor, you have to have a lot of baggage to be able to extract from that things to put into your character. And the other thing is... you always kind of leave with a part of that character with you. So it both takes from you and it gives you throughout the process. So of course, like a lot of things stayed with me. It was hard during the shooting itself. Like on certain scenes were emotionally very difficult. But
did you have a method of like switching off, like so that you can keep your sanity? Was there like something that you would do to kind of get out of that mood? Because I'm feeling like in a role like that, it's very easy to get depressed.
Yeah, I mean,
a little bit.
The standard advice is, lots of self-care, surround yourself with loved ones, give yourself a sense of, just routine and that life is out there. And, once you leave set, you go back to your family, you talk to your friends and loved ones, and you just get, back into your life. And that, hopefully elevates the emotional toll.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get too heavy with
this. Let's keep it good vibes only.
We're all about the good vibes only. We don't want to be, getting too, well, I was going to say getting too deep, but these discussions, the whole point of it is getting to the depth of the person in front of me. So sometimes it does involve getting a little, down in the dumps a little bit. But on a lighter note, you have a movie that's out now.
Yes, just
and it's the name of it alone, like I want to watch it just because it's called Sugar Daddy. I'm not gonna lie, but it's a fun movie.
It is.
I'm getting the vibe. It's a light comedy.
Yes.
You've got Layla Elwi, Bayoumi Fouad, and Tamer Hagras that are in the movie with you. Do you want to tell me what this movie is all about?
Well, okay, so I don't do comedy, as you can see. So this was quite a challenge. It was a fun one. There are plenty of stars in this film. It's super lighthearted, super funny. It definitely took me outside of my comfort zone. I don't consider myself as a funny person on the screen at all. So it's nice to have people, around you that, try to bring it out of you. So it was definitely fun. It's out today in cinemas, and tomorrow it's going to be out in Saudi and the Gulf area.
What's it about? Come on.
It's.
I think it's a little self-explanatory, but still.
Yeah, it's about a husband who, he's a family man, and he kind of decides to change that a bit, and he has
switch that up a little bit.
And he has his sons, and each of them have their own different love stories, and I'm lucky enough to be a part of this funny love story between me and Hamdi Al-Marghani, who's I think is one of the funniest comedians and actors in the entire country. So it was a pleasure, and I hope people go see it today. It's out today.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to be wanting to know who you actually play in this and everything like that. But first, we're going to head back to the music. Are you ready for a little bit of David Bowie?
Ooh, yes, please.
Here we go.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
Hello, it is Zeinab here with you, and it's all about those good vibes only. May El Ghety is in the Nile FM studio with me, and we are still talking about her career journey. And do you know what? For someone so young, I am really impressed on how much you've actually achieved, and I think it's something you definitely need to commend yourself for. That's a lot of stuff to be done in a short amount of time. And as someone that's a little bit older, not too much, a little bit older, I can actually tell you that it's really impressive, and it's really inspiring as well. Now, Kizazimoto, did I say it right? Kizazimoto. Can I say it like that? Generation Fire. Disney. How did this happen? I mean, you're talking about a 10-part anthology, right? How did it happen? What are we to expect? How did you feel when you got the part? I want all the details when it comes to this.
So there's a few things that I can say about this, as you can imagine.
Okay, let me put this way. Let's kick it off with, how did this happen?
Okay, so I think I was recommended by the director.
Nice.
And yes, and auditioning took quite some time. And
how many auditions did you have to, how many recalls were there?
I think about maybe 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 2
Intense.
or 3, yeah. And it took some time, and I'm just excited to be part of it. It's young girls dream about being Disney princesses, but this one, she's not a princess at all. She's a warrior and she's a rebel, and
oh, she's so much fun to play.
She is. Yeah,
she sounds like a whole lot of fun to play. When you got the call, like, because you said you had to audition 3 times, when you got the call and you were told that you got the part, I'm assuming it was a call. No one like suddenly like waltzed into your home. Hello, I have arrived. I have news to tell you. You know, what were you thinking? What went through your minds when you got the confirmation that you were going to go ahead and do this part?
Well, it was very exciting. You know, like you don't believe it when you first hear it. You're like, are you sure? Do you want to retract your offer? Are you positive?
Did you have like imposter syndrome? Like, what am I doing here?
Yes.
Are you sure you want me?
So it was just an incredible experience. The director Ahmed Tailab, he's a lovely Egyptian director, and the anthology takes part in different parts of Africa. They're telling different stories, and it's a sci-fi, and I love sci-fi as well. So so it's
horrors and sci-fi. Yes. We know that now, right? 2 genres. May is into horrors and sci-fi. Do you know what? I have a confession as well. I get it to a certain level, because I have this thing. Have you ever like seen those memes on Instagram where 20-year-old me and then 30-year-old me, and it shows you like 20-year-old me, someone getting ready to go out and they're like putting on their makeup and there's music in the background, and then there's the 30-year-old me, which is not, I'm a little bit older than that, but anyway, we're not going to go into the details of that, where it, at this on a Friday night, they're sitting there and they've got their masks on, and then they're watching a documentary series about serial killers. I'm her.
That's okay.
That's my thing. I also have a friend of mine, it's her thing as well. And then we start like comparing notes because we start to investigate.
I would like to join this club immediately.
You are more than welcome. But go on.
So it was just an incredible experience, and I look forward to people seeing it soon, hopefully. It's unbelievable, and I'm very, very proud of it, and I can't wait for young boys and girls.
How was it shooting it? Like, what was did you feel like there was a difference? I'm assuming when you're doing something with Disney, it's very different from what we do here. So how did that? What was the vibe of the set?
Well, it was animation, so it was done. We recorded it in studio, so that was nice. Don't worry.
This is me, like, I'm just gonna go underneath the desk now.
No, don't worry about it.
But that means you're sitting there, you're doing a lot of voiceovers. Yeah. How is that for you? Like, is it fun to be like not having to worry about the camera? Do you know what I mean? And just kind of like do your thing, play with your voice, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you get to be as silly as possible. I've always watched videos of actors who usually do live actions, and then they're doing animation, and it's always the funniest thing ever, and I was like, yeah, that looks fun. So I didn't have to worry about how it looked or anything. It was super fun.
Oh, fantastic. Right, well, I've got another thing that I want to be talking to you about, and that is another role, another movie, and it's not here. I'm very excited about this because I have absolutely no idea what this movie is. I have my suspicions, but I'm waiting on you to tell me all about that. But first, we're going to head back to some more music. Got Vici coming up next with Tough Love.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
All right. I was talking to you about the fact that you're getting you're doing another movie, an international movie. It's a rom-com, my understanding.
Yes.
And it's called You Dating. I have a suspicion of what it might be, but I'm not sure, so I want you to tell me.
Well, it's about a lovely pregnant lady who's dating.
Okay. I mean, straight to the point.
Yeah, but it's actually it's a rom-com. There's it follows the story of a man who's he's a writer, and he's a very interesting type of young modern man who doesn't understand fully the struggles that women go through.
Like most men.
Yes, and this man I happen to be his ex girlfriend.
Okay.
Yes, and so the film mainly follows his love story and, developing love with this lovely woman, Sherry, who's pregnant.
All right. I also know another little piece of information about you. I mean, first off, I'm watching that. I want to know when it's out.
Yeah, it's fun. It's hopefully. Should I disclose? I think
you can't disclose that.
Yeah.
Do you want to stay on the safe side?
I think it's either end of this year, or early next year. Hopefully.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. How did that happen as well? Like, have you always had the intention that you wanted to be, international? You wanted to delve into, Hollywood, that kind of thing. Is that where the dream is?
I feel like everyone must have this ambition if you're working in the arts. But at the same time, to me, it was more about finding new challenges because when you work in a certain area, whether it's the Middle East or whichever country you're working in, you tend to always be bound by the kind of stories that happen around you and the culture and everything.
Yeah.
So, delving into different cultures and different kinds of stories can be very challenging for an actor because you have to adapt so many of your, skills and the things, your tools that you already know to this new environment and this new method of telling stories. So to me, it was more about the challenge and, kind of pushing my skills forward.
Talking of skills, I hear you have another skill, and it has to do with music.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
So.
I
mean, I'm so very tempted to ask you to sing for me right now.
God, no.
You're like, nah, no, that's not going to happen. But tell me about that. What's going on? I know that music is another outlet for you.
Mm-hmm. I've had, actually, this month exactly marks a year since I've released my EP.
Okay.
Pink. And it was, a year's work in progress. Yes, because it took some time, and I've had a few gigs before that, and it was, I've always enjoyed writing music and making music with my friends, and I felt very lucky that I got to do this with them, and we're currently working on a new song.
A woman of many talents. And so many different interests. In fact, I know you have an interest when it comes to initiatives, when it comes to environmental awareness. And I want to ask you about that. Mm-hmm. But first, Ed Sheeran, a song that we actually would want to listen to.
Yes.
It's called Eyes Closed.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
Britney Spears and Toxic. Which one's your favorite Britney Spears song? I'm assuming you like her.
Yeah.
Which one would you say was your favorite? Do you have one?
I don't. I wouldn't be able to say that I have one. I think we were probably not allowed to listen to Britney when we were younger.
No.
So you learn to love her as you grow older. Lots of.
I know. Thinking
Britney's
of that now.
wild.
Yeah, thinking of that. She wasn't she? Even though she was kind of like the princess of pop, I always kind of felt like she was like, cute and stuff. But really, if you saw most of those music videos, yeah. You have a point. You have a point. Now, earlier on, we were talking about the fact that outside of the arts, you have these other interests. And what I essentially wanted to kind of like touch on was, that you are a patron for environmental awareness. Can you tell us a little about that?
I try my best. A few years ago, I got really concerned with environmental issues, and I tried to collaborate with different NGOs at the time to see, okay, how can we drive this problem further and to have more people become aware of it. And I think this journey probably started around 2017. I started collaborating with Greenish and Very Nile, and they had several campaigns to try to clean up the Nile. And I tried my best to be there as much as possible and raise awareness through social media or interviews and talk about how can we change our daily habits to be more environmentally friendly, whether that's, making sure you lessen your consumption of single-use products or changing your diet to a more, a green diet, most likely veganism. and
I tried so many times, May. I just can't get there.
Again, it's about, just the idea of lessening your consumption. I think that's what matters the most.
See, I also have a problem with lessening my consumption.
It's okay. No harsh
My
judgment
scales
here.
will tell you I'm having a problem with listening. But go on.
But yeah, so I try as much as possible to bring this topic to the table and have people just keep it in their mind and their daily activities and the things that they choose on a daily basis.
I think that's really commendable that you've become so aware. And a lot of people that I know that that do have an interest in environmental awareness and things like that, certain initiatives. I think it always comes to you like later on in life. The older that you get, the more exposed that you get, and the fact that you're that aware at such a young age, that's to be commended as well. And last but not least, the fact that what I love about this sit down that we've had, and I think I've said it to you about 3 times already whilst the music was playing, I love having guests that have so many different facets to them. It's not just one thing, and I think that's what makes your journey a really inspiring one.
Thank you.
And that's why I want you to kind of almost, there's a lot of young girls listening right now, and there's a lot of young people in general that are probably listening right now, and some of them out there could be aspiring to want to go into the field that you're in, and they might need that little kind of, not just a boost, but like the words of wisdom. And I think so many times, a lot of us kind of wish someone had given us the words of wisdom, or kind of set us told us what the expectations should be, so that we're not disappointed and things like that. So now that you're in that position, I do believe you're in a position where you could give advice to anyone out there. If there's an aspiring actor, actress out there, and they want to delve into the industry, what kind of advice would you have to give them?
Well, we were just talking about rejection, right? And
yeah,
I think most fields, but especially being in the arts, is probably
there's a lot of rejection.
There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of heartbreak, and hours of waiting and wondering whether I got this or didn't. And I think the most important thing is being persistent and wanting to drive yourself forward and wanting to enhance different aspects of your life and personality and your education, like your personal education, and learning as much as you can about the world around you and the people around you, and just keep at whatever you're doing. And you will be faced with a lot of rejection, and it's important to just try to push through it and have people around you that love you and care for you and that also push you forward. Because I think one of the worst things that people around me might have told me, and they were very few thankfully, is it's impossible for you to do this. It's going to be very hard to go pursue a postgraduate degree and continue with your career. And I don't think that these are the ones we listen to. So stay persistent and keep pushing forward and, try to expand.
There you go. You've been told, stay persistent. Thank you so much, May, for coming in today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
May El Ghety, leaving the Nile FM studio now, and I'm going to be very upset about this because I kind of feel like time went by super quick, and that's what it often does when you're having fun, right?
Yeah.
Khalid up next with The Hard Way. Even though we are out of here, there's a lot to look forward to. You've got Mixalicious, that's going to be following up, and that's going to be followed by Mark Curtis and the Nile FM Drive. I'll catch you on Sunday.
Nile FM.